No, they're among the most dishonest people I've ever met, honestly. And true. And, you know, you get hit. Even the conservatives, this crazy National Review, nobody reads it anymore. It's a dying publication. No, I mean, seriously, and they hit me. And I say, why? You know, we have the same thing. You know, it's sort of interesting. It's called Make America Great Again. Whether you're liberal, you're Democrat, or you're Republican, or you're conservative, or super conservative, we want to make the country is a mess right now. You look at what's going on, and the country is it's in such trouble. We owe $19 trillion. Iran is treating us like we're a baby. I mean, they're doing what we're supposed to be doing to them, right? That's the way it should be. And you look at what's going on, and you see what's happening. I was so honored because last week, Sarah Palin, who's a wonderful woman, this is a great person, and she came out and strongly endorsed us. And, you know, she was here and she was all over, and she came out and very, very strong. And Ted Cruz was assuming that he was going to get her endorsement, and she endorsed Trump. Good taste, right? That was great. She's fantastic. She's fantastic. So I'll talk to you about a few things, and we'll make this a little bit different. I won't even go over the ratings, and I hear ratings are coming out tomorrow that are going to be through the roof, but we won't talk about that. We're going to take a ratings break, because I'll tell you what, we're now in that final period, practically just a little more than a week left, and you have to go out and caucus. You have to get it done. Oh, we've all just wasted a tremendous amount of time. I just left a group that we had a tremendous crowd, where other candidates are drawing 30, 40, 20, 59 people, 103 people. We had 3,000, at least 3,000 people in an overflow room there too, which was packed. And then I come here and I see the same exact thing. I see people outside, they can't get into the overflow room. And it's just, you know, there's something going on. There's a movement going on, folks. It's not just here. It's not just in Iowa. When we go to anywhere, we go to South Carolina, we go to Dallas, Texas. I mean, New Hampshire, you have to see it. It's incredible. In Lowell, Massachusetts, they have an arena, a basketball arena. We packed it, and 5,000 people couldn't get in. Same thing last week in Oklahoma. Oklahoma, there's this arena, Oral Roberts University, beautiful place, beautiful arena, and it was packed. So we had 10 or 12,000 people. We had to send 5,000 people, at least 5,000 to 7,000 people away. Other people would never use that. They would never, because they couldn't fill it. They couldn't even come close. And there's nothing worse than an arena with no people in it. Do we agree? You don't want to be doing that. But the level of love and the level of people just loving what's going on, they want to make our country so great. They want to make it, and I can tell you this, we're going to make it greater than ever before. We can do it. The people, we can do it. We can do it. And no matter where we go, and the people themselves, you know, they used to say the silent majority, all different names. It's really the noisy majority. It's people that are so enthused about what. And when people feel that I'm angry, I don't know if you heard the last debate, which everybody said I won, but these are minor details. But in the last debate, and Nikki Haley, who's a good woman, and I've supported her over the years, but she said there's a lot of anger. And I don't know how she meant the word anger, but a lot of people took that as a negative. I'm not sure that it was a negative, but she said there's a lot of anger. So when they asked me about that at the debate, I said, you're right. There is anger, and I'm angry. I'm angry. I was supposed to say that, oh, I'm not angry. No, I'm not angry. You know, typical politician. No, I'm not angry. I'm a wonderful person. I'm really wonderful. I was angry. And the people that are with me are angry. They're not angry people. They're angry at the stupidity and the incompetence of our leadership and what's going on. And in a certain way, we're just not going to take it anymore. We're not going to put up with it anymore. And that's why I'm doing this. I have this incredible company. Don't forget, all of these pundits, many of whom are terrible, just terrible. They don't know what they're doing. They're upset that I ran, because when I ran, they all said I wasn't going to run. And then they said, well, he's not going to really run. And then will he file Form A, which basically you sign your life away. And they said, he'll never file it and he'll never do it. I signed Form A. I've signed my life away, which is true. And then, he'll never put in his financials because maybe he's not as rich as everybody said. I put in my financials, almost 100 pages, the biggest financial thing by far ever put in, and almost 100 pages. And they said, well, he's going to delay because, he doesn't want, maybe he's not as rich, who knows? And that would be bad. But actually, it turned out I'm much richer, right? I built a great company. Pella knows all those windows. Those windows are going someplace, right? And they were successful jobs. But I built a great company. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way. I say it because that's what you need. You need that thinking up there now. We have people that don't understand what's happening. We have people that don't have a clue. So the company is amazing, and all those reporters were down there. As soon as the FEC, as soon as I put those papers, they were down there. The people said they've never seen anything like it. But they all said, well, I'll delay because I'm entitled to many delays. So I was going to put the papers in. They said, well, he'll delay. Well, I didn't delay. I put them in, and I had this massive document that was put in with billions and billions and billions of dollars talked about, and I put it in ahead of schedule, less than 30 days. But you're entitled to 2 45-day extensions, and you're entitled to all of this other stuff. And who took the extensions? The politicians, and it's 1 page long. And the politicians, many of them took extensions. I'm the one that didn't extend. They all said I was going to extend. So it came out, and the reporters, and look, you would have been reading a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a great company. I built a great company. And that's what we need. Low debt, tremendous cash flow, some of the greatest assets in the world. And what we need is exactly that. I'll give you a little quick story. We have candidates that are spending a fortune, much more than me. I feel guilty. I've spent so little in this thing. I can't because see all those cameras back there? They're all on live. All of these cameras that are on. Every time I have to speak in front of live television, I'd like to have one time where I don't have all these cameras. You make one, and I don't have teleprompters, right? No teleprompters, right? No teleprompters. No teleprompters. And I'm not reading a speech. I'm not saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to read this to you, and then you can all fall asleep. You can all fall asleep, and then I'll go home. And please vote for me. No, I speak from the heart. I speak from the brain. Smart guy. I speak from the brain. I speak from the heart. And that's the way we have to do it, because that's what it's about. And you need a memory to do that. You need a very good memory because, you get up and speak for an hour to an hour and a half, and you don't have, you're not reading it at all. Kind of along and, there'll be a day when I'm going to want teleprompters because I'm going to say, I want to just read these things and get out, all right? It's so easy. I mean, it's so easy. But the truth is we have these incredible crowds. The press never talks about it. When Bernie Sanders has 3,000 people, 3,000 is like a small crowd. When Bernie Sanders, they said the other day, I had 12,000 people, and they had to walk 5,000 to 7,000. Bernie Sanders had 3,000 the same day. They said Bernie Sanders had a massive crowd of 3,000 people. Well, I had 12,000, and they had to walk, so I had like close to 20,000 people, right? There. They didn't mention it. They never mention it. And then the cameras, when I'm in arenas, like we had one thing the other day where we had a huge deal. Actually, it was in Oklahoma. It was in the stadium. And I'll tell you, it was incredible. That was when I introduced Sarah. I told the camera, show the crowd. They never showed, not one. They had me introducing Sarah. Sarah did a good job. Sarah's a terrific person. Getting her endorsement was a wonderful thing. And I'll tell you, it was a tremendous thing. They didn't show the crowd. And we had thousands and thousands of people in this incredible arena that was filled up. So they're just dishonest. And I don't know why. Why would they say that Bernie Sanders had a tremendous crowd of 3,000, but when I have 12,000 plus 5 or 7 that couldn't get in, they don't even mention it because they're dishonest people. And yet the public, they really are. They really are. Because we have by far the biggest crowd. Actually, Morning Joe was great. Joe Scarborough, he said the other day, he said, by far the biggest crowds are Trump's crowds. You don't hear it often. You don't hear it often. And I have to say, second is not a Republican. Second is Bernie Sanders, but he's a long way down, believe me, a long way down. So we have done something that's been amazing. Time Magazine wrote a piece the other day, and I'm not a huge fan one way or the other of Time. They wrote a piece that was so incredible, cover story, talking about the movement, talking about the campaign, saying there's really never been anything like what's happened. No, there has never been anything like this. And I got a call from a writer, I tell this story, a very good writer, very, very powerful, good writer, tends to be on the liberal side, but that's okay. And he said, I'm doing something, how does it feel? I said, how does what feel? What you've done. It's been the summer of Trump, now it's the autumn of Trump, and how does it feel? I said, doesn't feel anything. I'm doing what I have to do. We got to win. Got to close. You know, we're all closers. We got to close. You know, we'll all talk. We don't talk. We get it closed. He said, but how does it feel? I said, what you've done, even if you don't win, it's amazing. It'll be talked about for years. I said, no. If I don't win, I've wasted my time. That's the way I view it, because we're not going to be able to do what we're not going to be able to get those budgets. And you know, the other day they said 25 years from now, they think they're going to be able to balance the budget. 25 years. Think of it. These are politicians. 25 years. I said, if I don't win, I don't consider it to be a success. You can say all you want about how wonderful I've done. But if I don't win, but I will say this, up till now, we have done wonderfully. We had a poll last night, 48%. We have 48%. And we're doing fantastically well in New Hampshire, and just fantastic. Those people are great. They're like you. I mean, they want to see sanity. They want to see strength. They want strong borders. They want all of the things that we talk about. Yeah, we will build the wall, by the way, just in case we will build the wall. We will build the wall. We will build the wall. Okay, you ready? Who's going to pay for the wall? Mexico, 100%. 100%. Mexico's paying for the wall. And people said, like these politicians, I'm at the debate, the last debate. Did I win the last debate? Might have won all the debates, but the polls, you know, they have polls for everything. I love polls. You know why? When you're in first place. Say, come to me, why do you always mention the polls? Because I'm in first place. It's true. If I was in second place, I wouldn't mention the polls. But they come to me, these politicians that I'm with, and some are nice people, and a lot of them I actually like, hard to believe, right? But I like some of them. And they come up to me and they go, why do you always mention that Mexico's going to pay? And why do you always mention the wall? You can't build a wall. I say, really? Really? 2,000 years ago, China built the Great Wall of China. It's 13,000 miles, and this is a serious wall, folks. This wall is, you know, we're not... You know, this is 2,000 years ago, 13,000. It's 2,000 miles, but we need about 1,000 miles of wall, okay, at our southern border, because we have a lot of natural barriers. And we can build that so easy. These guys don't even know. Do you know they wanted to build the wall years ago, a couple of decades ago? They wanted to build it. They couldn't get it approved because they couldn't get their environmental impact statements approved. Can you believe this? It's true. It's a true story. There was snakes in the way, or there were toads in the way, or there was something else, a frog, a mosquito. They couldn't get it approved. No, they couldn't get it approved. So, you know, they couldn't. In the meantime, China is digging in the South China Sea massive fortresses, massive airports for military planes, okay? And they dig with these incredible excavators, and they rip the hell out of the ocean, and they put it up, and they're building this incredible fortress in the middle of the South China Sea. Do you think they went and got an environmental impact statement? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. So we have people against me. We have people that have spent a fortune. Ted Cruz was always very nice to me, I have to say. Very nice. I could do anything. And he said, I agree, right? You know, it was the talk of the town. No matter what I said, you know, the others said, oh, well, we don't like what you said about the Muslims. We don't like what you said about illegal immigration. We don't like this. Ted Cruz would always say, oh, I like it, I like it. But I knew at some point he has to come and hit me, right? So finally I said, Ted, will you please start to hit me so I can, you know, do a number? Because I'm much better when somebody hits me. I like that better. I feel better, you know, inside my gut, I just feel better. So finally he did it. And I think we've done a good job. I think we've done a good job. Now, one of the things they talk about, and I have to talk to you about this, eminent domain. Can you believe he took an ad? Nobody even knows what the hell it is, eminent domain. It's where basically a city, a government, the country will take property and, by the way, pay the people for the property. You know, they don't say it that way. They say, Trump wants to take property and not pay. I saw this character, one of the 22 idiots from this National Review that are writing this nonsense. And I think it's the best. I think it was good that happened. Look, the thing's going to be out of business, in my opinion, in less than a year. It's dying. So they're getting some good publicity for themselves. I don't even think it's good. I think it's good for me, but we'll find out. But you know what? They look and they talk about eminent domain, and they say how Donald Trump took a house. Number one, I never took the house. And I offered the person millions of dollars for this house. I got so lucky. I left Atlantic City about 8 years ago. I got so lucky. Great business decision. I got out before it collapsed. Great business decision. But one of the things is take the house. The woman gets paid for the house, but I offered her much more money. Ultimately, we didn't do the deal. The woman was in the house. I offered her $5 million for the house. She stayed there forever. She ends up getting $700,000 for the house. Not from me. She would have made a fortune. She could have retired to Palm Beach, Florida, wonderful place, okay? For $5 million, you know, you buy a little tiny speck of a house. $5 million doesn't buy much in Palm Beach. But they use this as a commercial. It's a false commercial because I never took the house. But what eminent domain is eminent domain is for when you want to build a highway, when you want to build a roadway, when you need land for a school to educate your children, when you need land for a hospital where you can't get. It's called the power of eminent domain. Eminent domain, I'm not in love with eminent domain, but eminent domain is a good thing. It's necessary. In fact, driving up here, there was this beautiful roadway, and I said, oh, they used the power of eminent domain, because you could see a little corner of a lot was taken. I'm very good at real estate. You know, that's what I say, oh, look, that lot isn't exactly squared off. They needed the corner to create a road. Eminent domain is something that's a positive thing, not a negative thing. Now, sometimes cities will use it in order to do business. Let's say a person has a house or a person has a backyard and they're going to build a factory that's going to employ 5,000 people. And sometimes a city will use the power of eminent. And by the way, if you don't get that property, they're going to go to another city and they're going to spend millions of dollars and they're going to build a factory there and they're going to employ 5,000 people, but not in your city. Eminent domain is a positive thing. It's got to be used judiciously. But where else is eminent domain? These characters, these conservative guys, I'm going to read you some stuff because it was interesting. I love it. I love it. Where else is eminent domain used? For pipelines. Now, everybody, all of these guys are in favor of the Keystone Pipeline, right? When Obama rejected, oh, how dare they reject. You couldn't build 5 feet of the Keystone Pipeline without eminent domain. It's going through people's farms. It's going through people's houses. It's going from Canada, Cruz's former home. Might still be his home. Actually, he has a better chance of running for Prime Minister of Canada because he has no problem. Well, he was born there. But eminent domain, to go from Canada to Texas, think of it, Canada to Texas, that's a long way. In order to get there with the Keystone, which I favor, by the way, but I favor it in a different form. I want a piece of it. In other words, not for me, by the way, for the country. They'll say, oh, that's terrible. Donald wants a piece. The old days, they'd take a piece for themselves. Me, no, I can't do that. But I want the Keystone. But these politicians don't think that way. For us to use the power of eminent domain and make that pipeline, they're going to make a lot of money with that pipeline. And it's really good for Canada, which is fine. They're a good neighbor. But I want like 25% of the profits forever. If we're going to use our powers, why are we just doing it? So I want the Keystone. I want the jobs. It's good to have extra. Anything we can do in terms of getting more fuel is good. Okay? Oil is good. Anything. Including ethanol, by the way, I have to say. Including ethanol. We have great support from the ethanol folks. And I feel that way. We need fuel. We don't ever want to be subject to OPEC and these people. We don't want to be subject to them. But when you think about eminent domain, so if you go to the login, if you go to the Keystone Pipeline and their sales pitch, you know why, you'll see a whole section on eminent domain. Yes, we have to use the power of eminent domain because you've got to go through hundreds of private properties to get the pipeline. The only way you can do it is through eminent domain. Now, you may be able to make a couple of deals, but basically what happens is the government say, we're going to put a pipeline through your backyard, and we're going to pay you a lot of money. Now, usually you make settlements before it ever goes to court, but you get paid. But without it, you wouldn't have any highways, you wouldn't have any roads. So they do stories on Donald Trump is against, in favor of eminent domain. And I'm saying to myself, does anybody know that that's how you build roads, and that's how you build schools, and that's how you build so many things? And it's really unfair because people don't know it. And the way they put the ad, which is really false, but the way they portray it is, we take the property. And I'm saying to myself, take the property. These people make a fortune with these properties. In fact, you have guys as a business, when there's an eminent domain taken, they will go and buy the property before or make a deal to represent the people to take a piece of the action, because the government will pay you much more than the property is worth, because politically, they want to be politically correct. They don't want to get bad press. You get the market value for the property, but if you're smart, you get twice the market value, 3 times. So I'm only saying this. I don't love eminent domain, but you need it. Otherwise, you don't have a country. You won't have any highways. You won't have any railroads. You won't have any of these things. And you won't have any pipelines. Keystone Pipeline. Every one of these people wants a Keystone Pipeline. Without eminent domain, it won't go 15 feet. Does that make sense to everybody, right? So they hit me on eminent domain. I mean, sort of a boring subject, to be honest with you, but at some point I said, I got to explain eminent domain. You make a fortune you should be so lucky where they want to take a piece of your property with it, but no sale to Mr. Miller will yield you the kind of return you're going to get from the government. So that's it. So what's happened is the National Review, again, it's doing very poorly, way, way, way down, but they did something where they got 22 people to write. Now, some of the people, I mean, like this guy, Brent Bozell. He comes up, does anybody know Brent Bozell? Do you understand what I'm about to say, right? I mean, this guy. He's crying. Tears. No, Glenn Beck. And every time I see this guy, he's like talking, crying. What a mess, man. And he's so much. And I say, is this guy okay? And I mean, very importantly, he wanted to do interviews with me. And I don't mind doing the interview. By the way, he's failing. He's not doing well. His thing is going down the tubes, by the way. He got fired by Fox. You know who he's endorsing today, Cruz? Can you believe it? I got Sarah Palin. I'll take Sarah Palin every single day, all right? But he got fired from Fox, and he's got this thing going, and it's terrible. What happened is they called the office many times. They want to do an interview. And I was busy. It's not that I wouldn't have done it. I would have done it. But my people, when you're number one in the polls, my people get tough probably. They probably say, Mr. Trump is not going to do, who knows what the hell they say. In any event, it's probably true. I see the great Bob Costa from the Washington Post. That happened with Bob. They were rough with Bob. And then he wrote back, I love Bob. Stand up, Bob. Take a bow. Come on, stand up, Bob. I'm going to embarrass you. He's actually a great writer. Look at him. He is a great writer. But you have to treat people good, and probably they didn't treat him good. Look at him, he's sitting back. I love him. Now, if he writes badly, I'm not going to like him anymore. I don't even want good. I want fair, I want fair. Fair is okay with me. But, so what happened is a piece was written that was so good. I mean, it was so nice, and it was written about this whole thing. So I didn't do Glenn Beck, I didn't do the interviews, and all of a sudden they started hitting me. And then once they hit you really hard, you can't do the interviews anymore because you feel a little bit like it's prostitution, right? You can't do them. The guy starts hitting me. But that's all it is. I wouldn't do interviews with him. Probably should have done them. Would have done them. But by the time we got around to it, he was upset that I wouldn't do them. And that's what happens. But it's not that irrelevant. But here's what somebody wrote, and it was so amazing. It was so amazing. And the writing was so good. In fact, I think that somebody actually should hire this man because he is a good writer. Ready? It's by a man named Doug Eibendahl, a very respected guy, and he talks about this whole thing with the magazine that just came out. 22 people, some of whom are major losers, and some are terrific people. I don't know why they wrote so badly. All I want to do is make America great again. Remember that. So clueless is the gang of 22. They can't even see how they've stumbled right into the narrative Trump's been communicating so successfully for months. Just like the elected officials from both parties, the gang of 22 has beaten really beaten and been greatly complaining about stuff year after year, year after year. But getting anything accomplished, not so much. In other words, they talk, they complain, they don't do anything. They make money, they sell their magazines, they do whatever they do, they get on television. Certain of these people, they get on television, they're always wrong. They said Trump will never run, he will never run, and if he does run, well, don't even worry about it, because he won't, but if he does, he won't do well. In the meantime, I get 42, 48, we're killing everybody, right? They're wrong. So he goes, but getting anything accomplished, not so much. Many of the Gang of 22 have been hanging around and chattering for decades, and some are active cogs of the conservative entertainment complex, deriving their income by pandering to the conservative anger while offering no real solutions. It's true. They talk. Donald Trump represents a threat to these ineffectual probas in the same way he represents a threat to do-nothing public officials, of which we have many. Jealousy is also seriously at work here. Trump is inspiring and exciting a broad spectrum of the country like no member of the Gang of 22 ever has or ever will, which is true. In all fairness, I'm saying about myself, but it's true. These people don't inspire anybody. They can't sell anything. In just 7 months of campaigning, Trump already has more Americans listening to a Republican message than the entire Gang of 22 could muster over decades and decades. Trump understands that before you can advance the ball, you have to convince people to take time from their busy lives to listen. No one on the GOP side since Ronald Reagan has accomplished that like Trump, and maybe even more so. No one else, that's what we're talking about with the movement, because it's a movement, folks. What we have going is a movement. It's same, no matter where we go, same thing, always. No one else has come close, and certainly no one from the effete core of the impudent snobs to which the National Review thinks we should defer. Why do you listen to these people? Nobody does, because that's why the thing's going out of business. The Gang of 22 had their chance. They've done a lot of bitching over the years, and it paid well for some. But Americans care about results. They can plainly see that all of this is empty talk. At the same time, when Americans look at Donald Trump's life, they know they're getting a lot of assurance that here is finally a man who shares their focus on actually getting things done, getting results. It's true, we need results, no talk. And Trump returns the respect by recognizing regular, hardworking Americans are a lot smarter than any of the ideological eunuchs in all their pontificating glory. That's true. You're smarter. You're smarter. And you're richer. I know a lot of rich people in this area, okay? You're richer, you're smarter, you're better people, and you're more honest. What voters are looking for this year is competence and accomplishment. It's true. They want competence. We're tired of stupid people running our country. Donald Trump has an actual record of delivering both in spades. The Gang of 22 is right to be terrified. A president who could get things done would expose them as irrelevant creatures that they truly are. It can't happen fast enough. This is a conservative person writing. I thought it was good. You know, I hate to bother you and bore you with reading something. I just thought it was so amazingly written. I mean, he's a good writer, and it's really true. And, you know, we should be looking to, I never like critics. I like people that get things done. Right, Steve? Steve, stand up, will you please? Powerful man. Everybody know the man, the leader. Right? I like people that get things done. I've never liked, even from the old days, I'd read, you know, a review of a Broadway play. And, you know, you watch these people, they put their guts into it. The actors and the producers and the editors and the directors, and they put their guts into it. And then you read, he gets savaged in the New York Times. Just absolutely destroyed. And I'd always say, you know, I know how hard they work, and you don't have to be so, they're so mean, they're so nasty. And I said, I never like critics. I don't mind I'm a critic of our country, but we're going to get things done. In other words, I'm a critic that's going to fix things. I don't like critics that complain and don't do anything. And that's what you have. So with a couple of the folks that we're running against, I think we should talk, because now we're down to the end. We're down to the end. I've been here many, many times over the months. I love the people here. I've done so great with the evangelicals. I love them. And I've just had great relationships with the Tea Party, with everybody. And the polls now, as you know, I'm now again up on top in Iowa. Are we happy about that? I didn't like it. Well, I didn't like what was happening, because I think I was getting a false count. First of all, this Des Moines Register is a total phony paper, okay? That was my only poll. It was unbelievable. Just like they don't want to talk about the crowds, just like they don't want to talk about the stadium was full. I mean, Pensacola, you had to see Pensacola. Nobody says. I always tell my wife, I go home, I say, darling, how'd you like it? It was on television, CNN, it was live, the whole thing live on all these stations. She said, were there many people there? I said, it was a stadium. You didn't see it? No, they didn't do. That's why I love the protesters, because the only time these guys show is when there's a protester, because, see, that's a negative thing, right? Actually, it's not. I have a lot of fun with the protesters. But the one time I was rough, I said, get him out of here, get him out. And they said, oh, it was terrible the way he treated. The guy was a horrible guy that was swinging and punching people. And they roughed him up. They got him out, right? But I said, get him out of here. The next day, okay, so I got killed. The press just killed me. Bob, all these guys, they killed me. He's a terrible, the way he treated that man. This man was like slugging people, right? Okay. The next day, I had another one, and we had a protester. I said, be easy, don't hurt him. Don't hurt him, be easy. Then they wrote, he's not as strong a person as we thought he was. I got killed. I like the first one better. So you can't win. You can't win. You can't win, folks. Anyway, so we'll talk about a couple of it, because we're down to now the final strokes. And, can you imagine? February 1st, it's here. What are we, 9 days or something? And we're here, right? When this started, I really looked at it very seriously last time. I was actually leading in the polls last time. And I have The Apprentice, and I have all the other stuff. NBC came to me. They want to renew The Apprentice again. There's, great guys. I mean, great people, the heads of NBC. Steve Burke, he's the head of Comcast. They own NBC. And came up to my office, and they wanted to do an extension. I said, Steve, he's an amazing guy, great executive. I said, Steve, I can't do it. I'm going to run for president. And if you run for president, you're not allowed. Number one, you probably couldn't do it anyway, time-wise. But if you're running for president, they have a thing called the equal time. And basically, you're not allowed to do it. You'd have to give everybody running the same time on NBC. I don't think that works out so well, right? So you couldn't do it. So I said, Steve, I'm going to run for president. He goes, no, you just do this. And they actually renewed The Apprentice. It continues to do great. I said, Steve, I'm going to run. And then I ran, and he understood it. And we chose Mark Burnett, and I have that show. And we chose Arnold Schwarzenegger. How do you think Arnold's going to do? Huh? Will he be as good as Trump? I agree. But he's going to be fine. You know what? He'll do fine. And he's got a lot at risk, because, you're a movie star. Now you're going into a show like that, and it didn't work out very well for Martha Stewart, and it didn't work out well for a lot of people. And we'll have to see. I mean, I hope it works out well for Arthur. But Arnold has a lot at stake. I mean, it's not that easy to do, and you got to be quick. When Omarosa attacks you, you got to be quick. Bing, bing, bong, right? You got to attack those people. You cannot let them take it away from you. And so we'll find out how quick Arnold is. We're going to find out. But so what's happened is I said I'm going to run, and we ran, and I had no idea this was going to happen. I mean, I had no idea I'd have 48 in Florida. 48% in Florida, think of it. I'm leading, just came out 2 days ago. 48% in the state of Florida. And, this is with 13, 14 people. They're dropping out. We started with 17. They're dropping out very fast. And a lot of them are going to drop out. Between Iowa and New Hampshire, there'll be a lot of people leaving. And a lot of good people, frankly. But at a certain point, you have to say it's enough already. It's ridiculous. I'd like to have more time on stage. I mean, they have so many people on stage. And maybe Megyn Kelly won't do it this year for Fox or this time, because she has a conflict of interest. Well, I think, she's very biased. She's very biased, and she has a conflict, I think. Her hatred and her bias, I think, gives her a conflict. So maybe she'll drop out as a professional, and she's a professional, but maybe she'll drop out. So we'll see what happens. But I look forward to it. It's coming up on Thursday. So what happens is we are there now. It's crunch time. You must go out and you must do all the things. And by the way, DonaldJTrump.com. This is not a $5 billion website. There's a website that costs 5 cents, but it tells you where to caucus, and it tells you a lot that you might need if you don't already know for a group. So it's DonaldJTrump.com. Remember the Obamacare website, $5 billion? I spent slightly less than that. Okay? And mine works, and mine's going to work. So what happens is we are running against certain people. We'll talk about some of them. I mean, I could talk about people that are irrelevant, like Jeb Bush is no shot, okay? But the only reason I honestly, somebody said, why do you even waste time talking about him? He's got, no poll numbers. I said, here, he's spending millions of dollars. Every time I turn on television, I have an ad about myself, negative ad, Jeb Bush. He raised from his puppet masters, he raised like $128 million. This guy has spent $93 million. I've spent like nothing. I've spent so little. I mean, it's hard to spend. I'm $38 million under budget. I thought by this point I'd be in for 30. I haven't spent hardly anything. And the reason, I'll tell you, the reason I haven't spent is very simple. 2 things. Number one, I get so much, they call it like free air, where the thing, they do 15 minutes on Trump. They say, and now we'll be back after a commercial break with something else on Trump. And then they do, and again, we'll be back. They have some, because I get good ratings, okay? If I didn't get good ratings, they don't care about poll numbers, by the way, which are very good, but I get good ratings. So what happens is, I say, I can't put commercials. Can you imagine? 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and then commercials that I'm paying for in between. I can't do it. Right, Steve? That would be a mistake. People would get, they'd get sick. So what happens is, I'm way under budget. I thought by this time I'd be close to $40 million. I spent almost nothing. But now I'm going to spend for 2 reasons. Number one, I feel guilty. I feel guilty. I haven't spent anything. It's like different than anything that's ever happened. All these guys are in for millions. Jeb is in for $90 million, more than $90 million. Much of it against me, where he does commercials about me. They're the worst commercials I've ever seen, by the way. They're good for me. I think they actually help. My poll numbers have gone up since he put them in, because he's not a competent person. But my poll numbers have gone. But think of it, $90 million, and that's what I want for the country. So I spent the least, and I have the best result. In other words, I'm number one by a lot, right? Jeb Bush, who's ashamed to use his last name. I mean, the guy's ashamed to use his last name. I said, get rid of the exclamation point, Jeb, and use Bush. It's okay. Everyone knows you, Bush. Don't be ashamed. Be proud, Jeb. I said, get rid of it. But he doesn't do it. Jeb, he says, I can fix it. I can fix it. That's his thing. His new theme, I can fix it. You know what? Fix it. If you're a politician from the old school, if you can fix it, that means you go to jail, right? The fixers, the old days, right? The fixers, you go to jail. I said, I don't like that one very much. That's not good. But wouldn't it be nice if we could take, if we could take our country and do that? We spend the least and we have the best. I'll give you an example, schools. So we spend the most per pupil by far, right? The most by far, by so much, second place doesn't even exist. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world, and we're number 28 in the world. So we have the most money spent and we're doing badly. Now, wouldn't it be nice, my theory, if we spent the least and we had the best? I mean, now I don't know that we can have the best. Right now it's Norway, Sweden, China are the top, right? Norway, Sweden, China, they do great. They spend much less money than we do, okay? It's a different story, but they spend much less money than we do. So here we are, we spend by far the most, by a factor of many times, and we have one of the worst results. We have third world countries with better education than the United States gives. So we want to get rid of Common Core, 100%. 100%. And I see it here. I see it in places where the parents, they love it. Even when their kids graduate, they love this. They want to take care of their kids, as opposed to some bureaucrat in Washington that's making $300,000 a year, doesn't give a damn. And some do. But basically, they want to make sure they get paid a lot of money. The money we spend on education, if you had local education, you would do so much better. And everybody, a guy like Jeb wants Common Core. I mean, who the hell's going to vote for a guy that wants Common Core? The other thing, we got to be very strong on the border. We have to be very, very strong, okay? Very, very strong. And what do we have to do? We have to protect our Second Amendment. It's under siege. It's under siege. But that's enough with Jeb. You know, somebody said, why do you even talk to him? He's so low. I said, I talk to him only because he runs commercials. If he stopped running the commercials, I wouldn't talk. He'd be so much smarter. He's not smart. If he, you know, he's a low energy individual. It takes him a long time. If he would stop running commercials, I'd stop just destroying this poor guy. It's so sad. Sad. I hate to do it to the Bush family. You know, I think they're nice people. Okay, now he's got a commercial, by the way, with his mother. I said, Jeb, you cannot have your mother negotiate with ISIS. You have to do it yourself, right? This is why, I mean, people like this is why our country's going to hell. So now let's take a look. Okay, let's cut through it all. I mean, a lot like Iowa. He's not doing well in New Hampshire. He's not doing well in the polls at a lot of places. But in Iowa, he was doing well. He's taken a little bit of a down tip in the last week since I came at him. You notice how many people we've knocked out? Perry. How about this Lindsey Graham from South Carolina? I mean, how nasty can a guy, he gets up, he can't even talk straight about it. He hears my name, he goes crazy. But so many. Walker, nice man, but he got knocked out. All these guys said, they start off at 6, 7, 8. Walker started off at 22. He left at 0. And wouldn't it be nice to have a leader that can do that to people? Wouldn't it? And that you don't spend any money. But they hit, and they hit. And so let's talk about Ted. I said, when is Ted going to hit me? And finally he did. So now I hit him. And we have to talk. And seriously, when I say hit, this is legitimate stuff. He's got a number of problems. Number one, nobody knows, and I mean this 100%. I know he can run for the Prime Minister of Canada because he was born on Canadian soil. Honestly, nobody knows whether or not, and you know this, whether or not Ted Cruz can run for President of the United States. There is law, and there are major constitutional lawyers that say that he is not allowed to do this. And this all started a couple of weeks ago when the Washington Post asked me a series of questions. This was just one of them. And I said, I don't know. The words I don't know are very bad because you don't know. I don't know whether or not he can. I know he was born on Canadian soil. What was just determined is that he was a Canadian citizen until 15 months ago. He was joint U.S.-Canadian. How can you do that? And I'm serious. He could actually run for office in Canada. I don't know that he can run here. Now, he's already had 2 lawsuits filed, and they're running their way. But actually, those people might not have standing. You know who has standing? I do. I have standing because I'm a candidate. I could sue him. Oh, should I do it? That's so nasty. I don't think so, right? No, I don't. I'm not going to have to because the Democrats are going to do it. Okay? They have standing. So how do you pick a candidate who has a good chance of, and it might be okay. So I said, Ted, and I'm doing this for the Republican Party. I'm doing it for the country in a way, but I'm doing it for the Republican Party. In a way, I'm doing it for Ted. You have to go in and you have to get an order from the court saying that you're allowed to run because you're going to be sued, okay? You're going to be sued. And if you don't go in and get some form of order from the court, which you can do under circumstances, you have to do it. Because you're running and running and running. Supposing he's chosen, and I don't think he's going to be. I think I'm going to win. I think we're going to win together because we have this. So I don't think it's going to matter. But you have to go and find out from the court because the Democrats are going to sue. They've already said they're going to sue. They've already said it. So you pick a candidate. Oh, it's wonderful. By the way, he just got sued. He's not allowed to run. So what's it going to take 2 years? What are you going to do in the meantime? And Hillary is just, I mean, on the assumption she makes it. She shouldn't make it. She shouldn't be allowed to make it. What happened to her and what's going on with this email stuff is a disgrace. And General Petraeus, for doing 5% of what she did, has been destroyed. And by the way, leave him alone. It's enough. Now they want to take his rank away. Leave General Petraeus alone. He's suffered enough. They want to take his rank down now. Just relax. We have ISIS to worry about. We have Russia. We have China trade deals. We have Mexico is killing us at the border and killing us with trade. I mean, Mexico is killing us with trade. So many companies are moving to Mexico. And you know that because from Iowa, we lost a lot of companies going into Mexico, believe it or not. But Mexico, we have so many battles to fight. And what do they want to do? They want to take a man that's been so badly hurt and hurt him further by reducing his rank, and he's already gone. Leave Petraeus alone, okay? I feel so strongly about that. So, Ted Cruz, so he has a real problem with Canadian citizenship. Then you have to look, it's hypocrisy. You have to look at what happened. He's a man of the people. He's going to protect you from big bad Wall Street, right? He's going to protect you from Wall Street. Well, the epitome of Wall Street is Goldman Sachs. That's the ultimate. That's like ground zero, Wall Street. Ground zero, Goldman Sachs, right? When you say smart guys, I know them all. Good guys, some vicious guys. It's one of those things, right? We'll get them to help us a little bit with China. By the way, I have Carl Icahns endorsed me. I have many of the top business leaders in the world want to endorse me. A lot of them want to endorse me. They want to have press conferences. I said, nobody knows who you are. I know them. They're killers. I said, I know you're a killer. Okay? You're a brutal killer. You wouldn't want to have dinner with some of these people. Believe me, Carl's a great guy. You wouldn't want to have dinner with some of these people. But that's who I want negotiating with China. That's who I want negotiating with Japan. Right? I don't care. You'll say, I do not want to ever meet him again. But you know what? If he wants to negotiate with Japan, Japan's sending millions of cars into our country. Millions of cars. And we send them nothing, practically nothing. And even with you folks, when you send them something, it's not easy. They send it back. They break your ass, okay? Not going to be that way anymore. It's not going to be that way anymore. We have the greatest business people in the world in our country. We're going to use them on trade deals. We're going to use them to negotiate deals. We're not going to have it anymore where China makes $505 billion last year. Trade deficit with China. $500 billion, more than that. Last year, $500 billion. What the hell kind of a trade deal is that? So we're going to stop. But everybody makes money with us. Mexico makes a fortune. That's why when I say we're going to build a wall, one of the politicians come up, well, building the wall is, but you're never going to get Mexico to pay for it. I said, easy. How are you going to? I said, look, I'm not going to tell you. Why should you learn? You'll learn. You'll figure it. You watch. But just so you understand, so easy, so simple. They make a fortune. They make a fortune. We have a massive trade. I'm not even talking about the drugs that go back and forth. That would probably double it and triple it. Because you go to a place like New Hampshire and the problems they have are incredible. They come from the southern border. That's where the walls are going to work. They're going to be effective. Did you ever see the wall? They had it, I think, in Time magazine. It's this high and they have a ramp. And the ramp goes over the wall and they drive Jeeps loaded up with drugs over the wall and back. We get the drugs, they get the cash. That's what it is. They take the money back. We're not going to have that stuff anymore, folks. We're going to do a serious wall. We're going to do a wall. See that ceiling up there? That's peanuts compared to what I'm talking about, okay? If they get to the top of the wall, they're not going to be happy because they're going to say, man, it's a long way down. Not going to be like that, And, I have to be careful. It's going to be a big wall. It's going to be a great wall. It's going to be a powerful wall. It's got to be a beautiful wall because someday they'll probably name it Trump. It'll probably. So I have to do a good job. But with Ted, so Ted is, talking about he's a man of the people and he's going to stop mean Wall Street. But he didn't report on his financial disclosure form, which is a very important form. You sign that thing, you're signing a pretty important piece of paper, right? You're putting it in. He forgot to report a couple of things. Number one, Goldman Sachs loaned him a lot of money. And he's personally guaranteeing it. Big thing. Front page story in the New York Times. Goldman Sachs loaned him a lot of money. So that was a big story that he didn't report it. Big story. Then they found out there was another problem. One, Citibank loaned him a lot of money. Oh. Now, he was supposed to have sold all these assets. We are going to sell Heidi and I. Heidi is very nice, by the way, too. But Heidi and I are going to sell all these assets. Well, he didn't sell them. He borrowed money, and he personally guaranteed the loans. And the money is from Goldman Sachs and from Citi. So let me ask you a question. So I'm self-funding. I'm putting up my own money, folks, okay? Nobody's going to tell me what to do. Nobody's going to tell us what to do. I have turned down so much money. I would have made Jeb Bush's PAC, which was like $128 million, like a tiny little speck if I would have taken the money that's been offered to me by all these killers. I know almost all of them. Donnie, hi, we want to give you $5 billion. And I feel a little bit foolish. You know, my whole life I've been taking money. Now I'm saying, I don't want it. They go, what? I mean, I shouldn't say this. All my life, I've been greedy. I want money. Now I'm going to be greedy for the United States. I'm going to take it all. Okay? That's true. It's true. It's true. So Ted Cruz talks about, you know, I'm a man of the people. Let me ask you a question. If the head of Goldman Sachs goes and sees that he's got a guaranteed loan, right? That he didn't report. He didn't report it. Big story. But he's got a guaranteed loan, Goldman Sachs City. So let's say the head of Goldman Sachs, very good friend of mine, very tough guy. He goes to Ted, I want this, I want this, I want that. Do you think Ted is going to say, I won't do that? He's going to do whatever the hell they want. He's borrowed money from them. He's got personal guarantees. He didn't do what he said. He said he was going to sell things, but he didn't sell them, probably because he couldn't. Maybe the market's bad. Maybe he didn't want to sell them. So he borrowed money personally, and he didn't report it. And we didn't know about it. And it was only good reporting that found it out. So that's the story. I can't, you know, I don't know. Maybe he'll win, but I wouldn't vote for him. I can tell you that. I wouldn't vote for him. When people say that they're going to protect you from big, bad Wall Street, and they put in papers that they have no loans and nothing to do with Wall Street, and then you find out that they have tremendous, you know, borrowings from Wall Street with personal guarantees at favorable interest rates, by the way, at very low interest rates, it doesn't play. It doesn't play. So it's a problem. I think he's going to have a problem with that. So he's going to have a problem with Canada. He's going to have a problem with that. I could name 4 other things, but that's enough of him. I think that what's happening is that we are going to have an amazing result. I have a feeling that even though our poll numbers are terrific, I have a feeling that our poll numbers may end up being even better. Our actual election results may be even better. I mean, you had to see the other group. I was over in Sioux, which was beautiful, Sioux Center. And those people were like amazing, just like you're amazing. The country's amazing. I want to see where Apple starts building their computers here. What the hell good does it do? You know? We have amazing people. I mean, I had no idea, and actually a number of things. I had no idea how big our country is. It's just big. There's so many people. It's amazing how big. It's strong. The people are just incredible. But I had no idea also, people ask me, what's the biggest thing that you've learned? And I could say all the, you know, typical things, which is true. I mean, the enthusiasm, and they want to make it right, and they don't want to see stupid deals being made, and they don't want to lose $500 billion with China, and they don't want to lose to Japan. And I mean, let us break even. Let us do something. I mean, we can't do this any longer. We can't afford to do it. So many things we don't want. We're going to, as you know, we're going to repeal Obamacare. We're going to replace it with something much better, much cheaper, and all of these things. But the biggest thing, and I mean this 100%, is how smart the people are. They get it. They don't believe this scum back there, and some of it is. And I'm telling you, and I call it to their face. They are, and 25% are really good, and 10%, 15% are terrific people and really honest. But they write reports that are so false. They write reports and things, and they do things they know they're false. The reporters know they're false. They tell me they're false, and then they write it anyway. And the people get it. They see what's going on. And I tell you, one of the biggest surprises and one of the most pleasant surprises is how smart our population is. The other thing that comes out very strongly in the polls is that the people that are with me are by far the most loyal people. And I have to say it honestly because I have all these guys. It's true. I have all these guys back there. If I made that statement and it wasn't that'd be a headline. Oh, Donald Trump said this. I got everything I say. I say bing, bing, bing. I say like The Art of the Deal. I think it was the most successful book ever. I say one of the most successful books. Because you know what? One of them, they don't write a story. If I say the most successful, they'll say, you know, there was a book 25 years ago that sold 3 copies more than The Art of the Deal, and they end up with a headline. So they're bad people. They're bad people. But I have to tell you, they are. But I have to tell you, one of the things that I really see is how smart, and also, and they do stories on it, my loyalty, it's like I can do almost anything. I don't want you to do this. If I do something bad, say bye-bye, Mr. Trump or Donald. But look, my loyalty factor is many times greater than everybody else's. I don't want to use names, but other of these people, even people that are doing fairly well, they have a loyalty of like 10%. I have a loyalty, I think it was 68 or 69% plus 25% are almost very loyal. Some are unbelievable, they won't leave. And that's in the high 60s. And then you have like very, and that's, I think it gets to close to 90%. Other guys are at 10%, 12%, they're at 15%, but we think we're gonna change. The loyalty to me has been amazing. And I appreciate it. No, I really appreciate it. To me, that says something. In fact, if you remember when I first came out, they said, I came out and I started at like 3. And then I went to 6. And then I went to 12. And every time I came out, thank you, darling, you're so nice. Ooh, I love you. The woman standing with the sign holding it up. I love you. But you know what? I 6 and then 9 and then 12 and every time I had a number, he's plateaued. These idiots on television. I don't know if they get paid for this. He's plateaued. He's at 6 now, but he won't go. But he's got 6%. Then I go to 12 the next week. Well, she's plateaued. And then it got up to 24. And some of the smarter commentators, because you have some really good ones on television, they say, well, it's getting pretty hard now. Don't forget, that's 24 with 17 people when it started. And then it got to 28. Then it got to 32. And the same guys that were saying plateaued, they said, well, we don't know. We don't think we can go any higher. Then it got to 42. Then we had one today that came out at 48. That's with, so they keep saying plateau. So the Zogby poll just came out today or last night, and I think it's at 48, and number 2 is I think at 11 or 12 or something, at 13, and it's been an amazing experience. I've learned so much. A woman asked me today, and I think it was over in Sioux Center, she said to me, Mr. Trump, I'm with you 100%, I'm in business, a really beautiful looking executive woman. She said, I tell you, the one question they want to know, if you become president, can you calm down your rhetoric? Because you're strong with the rhetoric, can you calm it down? I said, listen, I went to the best school. I went to the Wharton School of Finance, Ivy League. I'm smart. My uncle, I always say, my uncle was a professor at MIT because he was like a super genius, and I believe in the racehorse theory a little bit, right? He was at MIT for years, for decades. He was one of the smartest guys, Dr. John Trump, one of the smartest people in the world. So I say to myself, and I thought it was interesting. She said, that's the only thing. People love you, but they want to know, as president, can you calm it down? I said to her, listen, I'm really smart. I can do that. But right now I'm fighting all these guys. All of them, or most of them, are lying about me. I have to be a little aggressive. When I'm president, I'm a different person. I can do anything. I can be the most politically correct person that you've ever seen. I can leave a dinner and everyone would say, what a fine, outstanding man. Believe me, I can do it better than any of them. I do it sometimes, when I'm sitting with the Societe people, right? Societe, where they're using my Mar-a-Lago club all the time. We'd like you to sit next to the head of American Cancer Society. All good people, but I can be the most politically correct person in the world. And I can be the opposite, but it's not the opposite, it's being smart. Sometimes political correctness just takes too long. We don't have time for it. We don't have time for it. When you look at some of the things that are happening, we don't have time. We want to be sharp, we want to be smart. But I said to the woman, I've never thought of that. Because she said, the only people that sort of are a little bit concerned, but I think they're going with you anyway, Mr. Trump, people think about your rhetoric is very tough. I said, I can calm that down. I said, I think I'm going to put it in my next speech, which is you. I've never said this before, but I can calm it down. I could be so beautiful. You would say he's the nicest, calmest person. It's amazing. It's amazing. But I don't want to be too calm because when I'm dealing with China, these are not calm people, okay? They don't know about calmness. They don't know about low energy. We have enough of them running, in particular one. So I do want to say that. Because it's different. Right now they come at you from 15 different angles. You have to be sharp, you have to be quick, and you have to be somewhat vicious. When you're running the country, it's a different dialogue that goes. And we can do that very easily. So I did that. I promised that woman I would do that, and I bet she's very happy, whoever she may be, but she was very nice. So the bottom line, and just to end it, is that I love Iowa. Special place, incredible place. You have to go. You have to caucus on the 1st. You have to. You can have, and I say this, and I say it with fun, but I mean it. You can have a bad day. You can, if you lose your job, if you lose your wife, if you lose your husband, I don't care. Go caucus, okay? Go caucus. You gotta caucus. All right, you gotta caucus. Because if you don't, it's not gonna happen. We're not gonna get there. And we want to get there, not only get there, we want to get there with a mandate. You know, a lot of people, even my people, they say, Mr. Trump, why don't you just say you want to do well in Iowa? I don't want to do well, I want to win it. They said, but if you say well, if you came in second, third, fourth, then you go to New Hampshire where you're doing so well. I've been to Iowa so much. I'm staying here tonight. I stayed here last night. I'm going to church tomorrow in Iowa with a group of people that's an amazing group of people. But I love the people here. I love the evangelicals. They've been so great to me. I love the Tea Party folks, and I think we're going to win it. I want to win it. And again, it's much better for me to say, oh, well, we expect to do okay. Now if I don't, by the way, all of those people back there are going to say, he said, they'll copy my speech right here. He said he wants to win it, and he came in second. It was disgrace. He's been humiliated. That's the way they do it. You know, they're vicious people. I do want it, and I know I put myself and I put all of us under a little pressure. I want to win it because it gives us a mandate, and a mandate's very important to change things in this country. A mandate, and if we win, I'll tell you what, Iowa, and I said it, you haven't picked a winner in 16 years. Number one, you got to pick a winner because I'm the only one that's going to win. I beat Hillary Clinton. I beat her in the last, in the Fox poll. I beat her very substantially. I beat her in a number of polls. I haven't even aimed at her, although I did a little bit last week. You saw what happened there, right? I aimed at her because she was being unfair. But I haven't even focused on Hillary or the wacky Bernie. I haven't even focused on them yet. I haven't focused on them. We're going to win. And when we win, we're going to make our country great again. So here's a story. We're going to win at every level. We're going to build up our military. We're going to take care of our vets. We're going to win on health care. We're going to win at the border. We're going to win at trade. We're going to win, win, win. It's going to keep going. We're going to make our country.
You didn't, frankly, have the balls to put country before party.